welcome back to the show, Chris, on episode two of looking into underrated tangent gems. And we're going to be looking at the second album by the Tangents called The World That We Drive Through. This came out in 2004. And I have gone through a few days of being obsessed with this album and my appreciation, and I think the spark you've ignited with your idea of underrated gems, because I talked on my show about this before. You might have an album you've heard once, twice, three times, four times. You think that's a really good album. But bear in mind, I wasn't aware of the Tangent when they first started as well.
Sure.
Had some catching up to do. But I've been repeating this album, listening to this album a lot in the last week. And the level of excitement as I approach each listen is getting off the scale. It's
That's
absolutely
wonderful.
amazing.
That's
Absolutely
that's
brilliant.
that's wonderful to hear because that was part of what I wanted to do with this was I wanted
Yep.
to get people who are kind of on the fringe with the tangent, which is a lot of tangent listeners. There are a lot of people
Yes.
who like the tangent. There are not a lot of people who love the
Yes, that's
tangent.
right, isn't it?
And
And it's just that sort of, because the music is wonderfully complex, you get so much more out the more you listen and the more you sort of start hearing things. And I tell you what, the track that I'm particularly obsessed with at the moment is the opening track, The Winning Game.
which is
And as a
uh,
result, I've never had Burt Bacharach's theme of any track he wrote in my mind as much as I do now, because of course the reference to the Burt Bacharach composition, um, "What the World Needs Now Is Love."
of
So,
sweet love.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So this is
As you go through this journey through his discography, you are going to find a whole lot of that type of thing where he references things that were very important to him and artists. You can hear them throughout a lot of his music through the Tangents 14 discography. So that's
uh,
that he does it a lot, and so that's really neat because it actually opens up more doors for people who don't know and haven't heard that. They
absolutely
start to
right,
look at,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it is. So
so the one I chose for this one
yep,
was actually the shortest track on the record, which is Photosynthesis.
yes,
Um, and I did that because I know people who listen to this one a lot, and at one point in time, I'm looking over the track listing right now. At one point in time or another, I have heard all of these discussed on the website, the Facebook page.
right.
Which, by the way, if anybody wants to join us on the Tangent Facebook page, please feel free to do so.
It's a
We are a
great Facebook
marvelous
page.
community there. Yeah,
There's so much
but
great information on that. Yeah,
yeah. So, well, including the fact that many, many times Andy himself comes on and talks about these as I write them,
indeed.
which is great.
Yeah.
But I was noticing on this one, particularly the one that I've never seen mentioned is photosynthesis. So that was why it made and it's really quite simple. People are like, what formula do you use I don't use a formula to figure these out. I go to them and I've talked enough about them with people that I know what has been talked about and what has not been talked about. And on this record,
Yep.
it's photosynthesis. I just don't ever hear it really mentioned or talked about. So that's why it made my list. You couldn't go wrong on this with any of it. These are so
Oh, you really
fantastic.
couldn't on this one, could you? Including on
It even
my copy.
includes A Gap in the Night, which is
Yeah.
actually In Darkest Dreams Part Two. I don't know if you're aware of that,
Yeah.
but
Oh, yes, I
In
am, mate.
Darkest
Yes, absolutely.
In Darkest
Yep.
Dreams from the first album, and A Gap in the Night is actually the second part of In Darkest Dreams. So
Sure.
I think
No,
that really
absolutely
neat.
right. And I even really love the bonus track on my copy. I don't know whether I've got an unusual copy because it's got the bonus track called Exponens Guest Sets. Is that how you pronounce
Yes,
it?
I think that's how it's something like that. And my copy has that too, and it's a
Yeah.
bonus track. And I don't know if that is, I don't know if there are copies of this that don't have that. But if you have never heard, I think you have heard that. I'm talking to
Yeah.
people on the station right now. If
Sure.
you've never heard that, you need to grab the copy of this that has that because that's an absolutely phenomenal bonus track.
It is. And one of these weeks, I'm going to play that on the show as well. So,
Awesome.
so
That'll be
yeah.
fun to
So,
listen
yeah,
to.
photosynthesis is a very beautiful piece of music, isn't it? It's just lovely.
Yes, it really is.
Um, and it's
It's
just,
actually the album's slowdown. You get the
Yes.
winning game and skipping the distance. And on the other side of photosynthesis, you have the masterpiece that is the world that we drive through and a gap in the night. And in between those, you sandwich photosynthesis, which is kind of, in my view, the
Yeah.
way the album gives you a minute to breathe. It's a little slower,
Sure.
a little more straightforward in terms of what Tangent normally does.
Yeah.
And it's just an excellent moment to really reflect and breathe. And the lyrics are quite gorgeous too, and they go along with the music perfectly. It's just a fantastic track.
It really
So
is. Absolutely. So that we're going to play this now then.
awesome.
I can't be sure because I've been doing my show in total when it was on a previous station for 11 years. I might have played it once, this track, but I may not have done. I'm just not entirely sure. It's
Well,
really
you're going to remedy
quite
that
well.
now, and you'll know for sure that you've played it
Yeah,
after today.
absolutely. So yeah, well, thanks so much for coming on the show again for this week. And we're now going to play the third track on The World That We Drive Through by the Tangents. This is photosynthesis.